And so in life as well as in death, Cliff showed himself to be a great man. There was one time when I came here and I was hesitant to enter because he was kind of screaming. I don't know the words, why he was screaming or what. But after a few minutes, I decided to go in.
Yeah, you did.
Then
it's too hot here.
He asked me, "Father, did you hear me screaming?" And that started our conversation. I now realize that God will finish what He started in you, in each of us. You see, I love this Bible verse from a letter of Paul to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6. And so I am sure that God who began this good work in you will carry it on until it is finished on the day of Christ Jesus. This passage says one very important thing, that you, like Cliff, are also a work in progress. That no matter how imperfect you are not a hopeless case. Yes, like us, Cliff may have imperfections. Perhaps he's got weaknesses. Perhaps he's got blemishes. He's got scars. But that's okay, because he was not yet a finished product. Because God was still working on him then, at the time. We love this pavilion, Willow Pavilion building. It's very, very modern. But when the workers were still building it some years ago, many didn't like it at all. Why? Perhaps because it was messy. Perhaps because it was dirty. There was scaffolding everywhere, and hollow blocks, and cement bags, and sawdust. But the workers didn't give up. They didn't give up building it, because they knew it was a work in progress. One of the things I learned from my encounter with Cliff is this: don't give up on yourself, because the Lord doesn't give up on you. Do you remember that story of Aladdin? Aladdin discovered the magical genie. And how did he discover it? By rubbing the lamp. But why did he rub the lamp in the first place? Well, because it was dirty. And I believe you, me, I am that lamp. I am dirty. Perhaps you are dirty. But because you're dirty, God will rub you, will shine you, will work on you until magic, happens. And until magic happens, God will keep rubbing you, working on you, healing you, tinkering with you, operating on you, until you become like Him. I believe this has been the life of Cliff, our brother. And so, as I have said earlier, no history of Willow Pavilion here would be complete without mention of the life that Cliff spent with you. To him then, we owe an immense debt of gratitude. And this gathering is but a simple tribute to the memory of the man who occupied an exalted place in our lives and the hearts of his family here around, and to all of us. That's why we have this memorial service, a very simple memorial service dedicated to the man. Yes, he has left us. He is gone to his maker and to his reward, but he still remains with us. For he has taught us that God will finish what he started in you. So again, one of the best things I learned from Cliff, don't give up, because God doesn't give up on you. Cliff, no matter how was your past might have been, but I believe you deserve it. You deserve your reward. And may God give you eternal rest. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father Dennis. So I'd like to open up the floor for anyone that would like to say a few words.
Maybe I should go first. Okay.
We are deeply honored that you are having a memorial service for Cliff Edwards. Cliff must be smiling down from heaven, and I imagine him saying, "Thank you to the staff of Willard Pavilion for the care and compassion that you rendered to him. And thank you to the staff for working so hard over those many years." And I'm sure he would add, "You guys deserve a raise in pay." Everyone here treated him with respect and dignity, despite his protests of screaming, cursing, and sometimes unruly behavior. If you didn't have any lessons on swearing, I'm sure you must have been familiar with a few words. His mental illness changed this man to another person. He was aware that his mind was driving him crazy, and he hoped that he will benefit from the discoveries of research in the treatment of mental illness. It was a challenge to the team here to provide the necessary care and treatment. But the staff here had proven themselves to have the knowledge and skills to meet the demands in the care of these patients. Thanks to the team for keeping Cliff here up to the end. When it was mentioned to me that we will keep him here until the end, that end word stood out in my mind. I grieved, I cried, I denied that the end will come. Up to his dying moments, I hang on to the hope that he will open his eyes again. Having had stayed here this long, he found his second family here. He decided that our 40th wedding anniversary should be celebrated with the staff. I was not aware of these plans until I was asked when is the date of the wedding. But he had them all set up. He wanted Levi to be his best man. He wanted the girls of the housekeeping department to be in the front row because they worked very hard and they should be recognized and thanked. The thought of this celebration made him happy. I guess it brought back memories of the happiest moment in his life. Lastly, I would say our heartfelt thanks to you for supporting us through Cliff's ordeal. We cannot express enough what a huge comfort it was to know that his friends here had happy memories of him. Sometimes when I hear him scream and curse when he's being torn, my heart breaks for the people who attended to him. And I would just say, I hope you have your earplugs on.
Excuse me, is he the fellow that was in the bed?
Yes.
Oh, I wonder where he disappeared to.
Oh. And it helps us to cope at this sad time. I'd like to read to you his take on human rights. I guess he might be a little bit colorful with his words sometimes that it can hurt somebody. So this is what I discovered when I was looking for some documents. There was a poem that is brown already with AIDS. It was written about him by a co-worker at the post office. And that also opened my eyes on what we went through, the joys we had when we had the twins, you know, 2 babies. And so I hope you have a copy of that poem. So this is his take on human rights. So, what you must do is realize that everyone close to you in your life has the moral right to do as they know best. That means eating, dressing, and living in a style of comfort best suited to them. And that includes you, Esther. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the sausage you gave me.
Oh.
I'm gonna try my best here. Because I want to share my brother with people that worked with him and knew what he was like now, but not what he was like as a brother. I'm his sister Lois. Anyway, okay. Cliff was a protective brother, always looking out for his little sister. I remember one time in particular, when I was 8 years old, and a boy pushed me into a large hole dug for the foundation of a house that a bunch of us kids were playing around. Cliff happened to come along and took off after that boy, chasing him for quite a few blocks. And there was a big fight. That boy never bothered me again, and yes, Cliff won the fight. Cliff was thoughtful, kind, and caring. When I was about 5 years old and sick at home, Cliff went up to the local store, purchased a book of lifesavers out of his hard-earned money, paper route money, and hard-earned in the bitter winters of Winnipeg, and he gave it to me.
Yeah.
This was at Christmas time. The book of lifesavers became a Christmas tradition for our family, and I continued it with my children, always thinking each year as I purchased them of the kindness of my brother Cliff all those years before. Cliff taught his little sister a lot of things through the years. When it came to learning how to tie my shoelaces, Cliff was my teacher, which explains why we both did the double bow. Cliff suffered with asthma from a little guy right until adulthood. We shared a bedroom as kids, and I have vivid memories as young as I was of the doctor coming many a night to help Cliff. I also remember waking up one morning and he was gone, and so was Mom. They had taken him to the hospital, and he nearly died that night. Cliff was an amazing athlete, excelling in all sorts of sports and breaking school records in track and field. He was honored with an award for the top athlete of the year in our school. That same year, he got the school award for the student with the best sense of humor. Cliff could swim like a fish, which attracted him to the game of water polo, where he played on a team and really enjoyed the challenge. He became a lifeguard at the summer outdoor pool in Winnipeg, a very sought-after position, and also taught swimming. His proudest achievement was to teach a visually impaired boy to swim using the methods Cliff had created himself. It was something to be very proud of. The boy and his family thought Cliff was amazing. Cliff was an entrepreneur of sorts as a teenager. He always seemed to figure out a way to earn money, mowing lawns, shoveling snow, raking leaves, newspaper route, He even bought soft drinks at the corner store, pulled them in a wagon, hauled them to the large baseball park nearby, and sold them at a marked up price. He made lots of money over the late spring and summer doing this. Sometimes he would even go to the bank and buy rolls of coins, go through them looking for certain years, and trade them in for more money. A tedious job, but like I said, he was always doing something to earn extra money. Cliff was a wonderful brother. In my late teens, Cliff started taking me out for dinner on my birthday. It became a real tradition, and he always chose a fancy place that made it extra special. My first time at High Steakloft one year, my first time at a dinner theater another year, and on it went. I loved this special time with my brother. Cliff fell in love. When Cliff met Esther, it was the best day in his life. As a family, we immediately fell in love with this amazing woman. When Pam and Greg were born, their lives changed forever. Twins, what a blessing. A wonderful family. Cliff was so proud to be a dad to Pam and Greg, and oh, so proud to be a grandpa to Pam and Greg's precious Nolan. An interesting point here when, I won't go into that, but an interesting point here, when Esther was pregnant with the twins, her due date was on Cliff's birthday, February 24th. They arrived the next day. Pam and Matt's due date for their little girl is on Cliff's birthday, February 24th. Years ago, Cliff was diagnosed with bipolar and struggled with this till the day he died. I would like to take this time to thank Esther, and I've done this at the funeral already, to thank Esther from the depths of my heart and soul for standing by my brother Cliff through the years, right until he took his last breath. It's been tough many times for the whole family, and Esther stood by strongly, humbly, and spirited. Esther has a way with her that comes from within. Mother Teresa once said, "Speak tenderly, let there be kindness in your face, in your eyes, in your smile, in the warmth of your greeting. Always have a cheerful smile. Don't only give your care, but give your heart as well." This is Esther. Thank you, Esther. Thank you. I've never known life without my brother Cliff. I will miss him dearly. Part of Cliff will always remain part of me and all the lives he has touched. I will miss hearing him call me Magnolia, or Mags for short. He had little names for those close to him. I even planted a magnolia tree years ago in my front yard in honor of Cliff and the nickname he gave me. 10 years ago, Cliff and my brother Dave walked me down the aisle to marry Jeb, a most memorable time in my life. Cliff and Jeb shared a special bond as they talked and watched golf and hockey together through the years. It warmed my heart to see them chatting and laughing and sharing thoughts. It is hard to say goodbye to my brother Cliff. I will miss him.
Oh, oh thank you. Oh, man. Ooh, it's hard.
Can I cheer you up a bit?
Oh.
I worked at the Empress Hotel as an elevator operator. And that's always the waiting for people come along to go up for a ride. Queen Elizabeth come along and asked me if I'd take her up to the 6th floor. She gave me $20 as a tip. Well, I had broken my front tooth in half. So I took the $20, went to the dentist, and got him to fix my tooth. He put gold on the bottom of the tooth and porcelain on the top. And that was the best thing he could have ever done for me. Because I didn't have money when I was first working at Empress until I got my paycheck. And when I gave my dad money too for working at he gave me money for living with him and my mom. In 1963, St. Anne Street in Victoria. And I was born in Victoria in a hospital building.
I would like to open up for anyone else that would like to share any comments. The one thing I remember about Cliff, well, I'll never forget his smile, but
I'm hungry.
I know he always rooted for the underdog, and even when he was, you know, in some of the depths of his illness here, he, at times when he was sitting out here and he'd see other people in distress, he'd make sure to call on the staff and let them know that someone else was in need of help. So he was always looking out for other people, even when he wasn't well himself.
Just a little brief experience with myself and Cliff. Actually, just to confirm for yourself, Esther, Cliff did ask for a raise for me with our previous coordinator, but unfortunately I didn't get it. But he tried hard and asked, actually. Just to confirm that he did try out very hard. And definitely of all the times, of all the football games, of all the hockey games we actually watched together, those memories will always stick with me because we had a lot of fun. So definitely thank you for being there for him, for the staff as well. We really appreciate you being here for Cliff and the staff. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we've got some refreshments here and some tea and coffee, so please help yourself.